over the past couple months, we've done a couple 15% off sales, which is kind of our general, like, we'll slap 15% off on any holiday or whatever it might be. And it's worked pretty well over the past couple of years. But what we've noticed over the past couple months is it's just not getting people to convert. And it's because people that are in the funnel have seen this, and it's not much of a discount for them. And so what we did was we increased it by 5%, literally just 5%, made it a 20% off sale site-wide. And we've seen the first few days, we saw about 156% increase in sales. It's started to taper down now, but the average since launching that is about 100% increase in sales compared to the previous time period. So a massive difference by changing the offer by 5% and just meeting customers a little bit more, towards where they're at.
Hey retailers, ever feel like your shopper experience feels just like everyone else's? Here's an idea. Put your shopper first with the only personalization platform that is purpose-built for retailers. BlueCore combines retail data and predictive intelligence to match online shoppers with the products they will buy next across channels like email, site, paid media, social, and SMS. Automate and scale your personalized content offers and recommendations for each shopper in a one-on-one individualized experience. Visit BlueCore.com to see why brands like Noble, Express, and Bliss have gone shopper first to drive repeat purchases and increase customer lifetime value. Hello and welcome to All Killer No Filler. I'm Eric. It is Wednesday of a short week here with Easter coming up, and we are with Nate and Taylor, two senior members of the Pilot House media buying team. And today let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing. And Nate, can you just kick us off with the importance of offer right now in the world?
Yeah, totally. So I'll give a couple examples too, but I think the biggest kind of the high level idea here is that during a time period like right now where overall buying intent is just kind of diminished, I'm sure a lot of people over the past couple months have noticed that just, their Shopify stores are decreasing a little bit year over year. There might be some impacts there. So what we've been doing with clients is really trying to get them to focus on the offer side of things. Once you have creative, copy, all that stuff dialed, you really need to be focusing on offer right now. People are kind of strapped for money. Gas prices are all-time high, interest rates are getting hiked. So all these kind of macro effects are making people hold on to their wallets, and we have to kind of meet them in the middle right now. So we've been really pushing offer on our clients, testing things that are just a little bit better than what consumers might be seeing over the past few months. So increasing that sale by 5%, offering a free gift, free shipping, all that kind of stuff has really been making a massive difference right now. Taylor, I don't know if you want to run through some examples, but.
Yeah, we tried a stacked offer with one brand I work with, and we, it's about a 2-week test period now since that change was made, and we've seen 138% growth in revenue since launching that. And a lot of it was just combining, kind of pivoting how we were messaging one of the offers, and then creating a combined offer effect there, and that helped kick it off.
That's what you mean by stacked. Just a higher value offer than you'd normally make, stacked with maybe another offer.
Exactly, and the whole idea there is, as Nate mentioned, we're really just looking to meet consumers where they're at. We were seeing signals of, positive social proof on comments, seeing great click costs and things like that, and seeing a lot of ads that we'd seen historically perform really well, not convert at the rate we were looking for. And so for us, we were able to kind of deduct our way through and see, okay, there's probably an effect here where people really love what this is, but there's a bit of a limitation there. Where is that barrier entry? And the barrier to entry looked like it was around price. So we made that adjustment, and we've seen a big growth element there. But Nate made a great point about the free gift idea, or getting creative with this as well. I think just tapping into that extra layer of creativity is really valuable, because the other flip side of this too is it's easy for us as marketers to say, hey, like, go run this amazing offer, but a brand has to think about their contribution margin, about all these other elements at play, and being creative can help you basically gain from that perceived value impact, but without potentially having to take a bigger hit on cost or anything like that if you're looking at running a discount.
Yeah, and I think what's key too is it doesn't need to be complicated, and it doesn't need to be overboard. Like Taylor said, like, you have to obviously be keeping your margin top of mind. And so, like, for example, we, with another brand aside from the one Taylor's talking about, we we've been, over the past couple months, we've done a couple 15% off sales, which is kind of our general, like, we'll slap 15% off on any holiday or whatever it might be. And it's worked pretty well over the past couple of years. But what we've noticed over the past couple of months is it's just not getting people to convert. And it's because people that are in the funnel have seen this, and it's like, it's not much of a discount for them. And so what we did was we increased it by 5%, literally just 5%. Made it a 20% off sale site-wide, and we've seen the first few days we saw about 156% increase in sales. It's started to taper down now, but the average since launching that is about 100% increase in sales comparing to the previous time period. So a massive difference by changing the offer by 5% and just meeting customers a little bit more, towards where they're at, like Taylor said.
And this involves like being mentioned throughout the whole funnel. I'm trying to think of like, is there a difference between when someone says they're having a sale versus making an offer? I guess a sale could be an offer, but a sale is just like one thing you could do in sort of a comprehensive offer, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And you just want to make sure that this offer is then mentioned throughout your whole, your whole funnel essentially that you're making.
Yeah.
And so just to be specific, we're talking buy one, get one. We're talking buy one, get 50% off, buy two, get one. Certain percentage off the first order plus a free gift. There's all sorts of different ways that you can spin this.
Totally, yeah. And again, it depends on your guys' margin and like what your end goal is. Obviously, taking just a big discount off products is just going to hurt your margin a lot more. But if maybe you can give a free gift and save a little bit of margin, but you still see that intent go up, then that can be a huge win. But yeah, talking about kind of seeing it through the whole funnel, by that we mean like, have it from the ad level all the way through to the landing page people get to, all the way through to checkout, have it very clear that people are getting this offer. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. If it's not, there can be a disconnect and you're going to see a higher bounce rate because people kind of lose sight of what they're actually getting.
It's just such a strong way to frame it versus, I don't know where this quote was that you guys pulled before this podcast, but this idea of people saying, okay, I've got a product that's good enough. My product is out there. But really, it's so important, especially as we say now in times of unprecedented inflation and all these other things, that you really put your best foot forward and really put that offer out there to buff up your product offering. So everyone listening out there, go out and craft your offer. And what better time to craft your offer than for Mother's Day? What are you guys doing for Mother's Day?
So we're kind of doing a combination of some of the offers that we've talked about. So based on the success that we've seen with just this increase in our generic offer, we're doing partial that. Some products are going to be that, and then we're going to be doing stuff like free gift with purchase, and then towards the end of the Mother's Day purchasing period, we'll be pushing free 2-day shipping to kind of drive that urgency. So I think that's a really good play, is to have kind of a mixture of offers. You don't want to make it too complicated. That's key as well. Simple offers, but having a couple different options for people, based on the tier of product they're buying, or based on the holiday. If it's for Mother's Day, maybe focus it around women's collections or women's focused products, stuff like that. And then towards the end of the sale, really focusing on that urgency and pushing stuff like free 2-day shipping, last chance, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, right now is when, and over the past month even, has been when you want to be testing offers for Mother's Day rather than go in blind. It's really good to kind of do isolated tests, figure out what offers are working best for your audiences right now, and then dial those in and push hard for Mother's Day.
And a huge part, kind of as the second layer to that is we're doing a lot of angle testing as well, creating kind of different buckets or like reasoning for making that purchase, like whether it's specifically for gifting or whether you're more of an impulse buyer who wants this product and now you see a great chance because it's on sale, like whatever, looking at the different ways and lots of different sub angles within that, trying meme content, trying UGC, trying product graphics, trying like whitelisted from influencer type ads as well, like doing a lot of different coverage, doing a lot of testing, and then ultimately creating that runway like Nate mentioned, where once you have some of those offer insights, you can then fine tune that message and just scale it accordingly from there.
Very cool. One thing that was not as cool was the giant CPM spike that we saw in the early part of April. Can you guys talk a little bit about what you saw and what you've seen as the fallout since?
Yeah, it seemed to kind of be across all brands, at least somewhat. Some companies definitely saw more of an impact than others, but I think it was around April 3rd, 4th, coming out of that weekend, we saw one of our brands had CPM spike like over like 150%. Like it was insane, and we had to pause up. We have seen them start to trickle back down, and now they kind of seem to be normalizing. But there hasn't really been much of a comment from Facebook quite yet on that. I know there was some issues going on, but they haven't really pinpointed. One weird thing though that we noticed with the CPM spike, which hasn't really been the case in the past, was I think for a couple of our brands we were launching a lot of campaigns that day, because when costs rise, we test and we get new stuff live to see if we can combat. And one of the things we noticed was that any campaigns that we launched on that day, or that period of days where CPMs really went crazy for a few days, continued to have high CPMs. And so over the course of like a week or 2 weeks, we've had to go through and cut everything out that was launched during those periods, because CPMs just never came down on them. Whereas other campaigns, even though they ran on those days, didn't see the same spike because they weren't built on those days. I don't know if that's some crazy coincidence or some bug that any campaign built that day saw, but it was a pretty weird one for us.
I'd love to know, if you're listening out there, you had campaigns that launched on the 3rd and the 4th. Are they running just like, well, or have they been marked with the stink of high CPM? Taylor, you saw the same thing during that period?
Yeah, I saw the same thing as well. It was definitely interesting. I mean, we're seeing things start to settle back in now, but it's definitely challenging. Nate shared a lot of the strategies, because the biggest thing is when that happens, if it happens across the board to the majority of your campaigns, or to multiple things at once, it can totally affect the momentum that you're seeing. And trying to build that back up can take some time. But through that, I know the team was working on some different strategies, and like rebuilding campaigns with top ads and different things like that. And we've ultimately seen some stuff start to settle back in, which is good to see for sure.
Yeah, one thing to note is like change is good during those times. When we start to see CPMs and CPCs spike and stuff, what we tend to do is a lot. So things like Taylor said, rebuilding campaigns, because sometimes they just get kind of stuck. But other things like starting to dupe some of your top performing campaigns and run them with manual bidding techniques like cost cap, bid cap. We saw some of that stuff reduce CPMs a little bit. Or different optimization windows, so like 7-day click rather than 7-click, 1 view, stuff like that. Just changing it up when CPMs do spike, to see if you can kind of shake your campaigns out of that rut.
We all know how tough the past 12 months have been, with supply chain and marketing costs rapidly rising. Ecom World is your secret weapon to help your brand get back on track and make this year your best year ever. Ecom World is hosting an online event that will arm you with the strategies you need to grow your D2C brand profitably. Meet experts like Kellen Fitzgerald, head of ecom at Glow Recipe, and Davey Fogarty, CEO of The Oodie, as well as 80 other ecom experts who are paving the way in D2C. Get their step-by-step strategies to optimize the growth of your ecom brand right now. D2C listeners receive 30% off the ticket price, so head over to ecomworldconference.com/DTC to get your ticket now. That's ecomworldconference.com/DTC. I love it. Now, we talk a lot about Facebook on this on this podcast. I got to get that through my head. And one of the things that we see Meta doing is, always they're the incumbent, right? Like we talk a lot about TikTok eating their share, but they're still definitely the incumbent, and they're still definitely, they're constantly researching to figure out, new ways that they can get an edge with their platform. And one thing that we've seen recently is them sort of giving up a lot of test ad budget to big clients in order to test specific parts of their campaign. Can you talk a little bit about what we're seeing there, and then what we think might be their reasoning for it, Nate?
Yeah. The biggest thing is we've seen a lot of testing budgets and like ad credits being thrown at brands for Facebook shops, Instagram shops, and just overall like DPAs, catalog campaigns. And mostly over the past like few months here, they've been really, really pushing people to test those campaigns with like 100% funded tests. And to me, it looks like they're trying to solve for two things. One overall thing is they want to keep people on platform. Obviously, there's the data loss piece, and they obviously want to build an e-commerce platform for people to shop on. And so they're really trying to get advertisers to spend big budgets on shop campaigns and getting people to their Instagram and Facebook shops using their catalogs. stuff like that, to see if they can get people converting at a good rate on platform, because then they get to keep the data. They don't have to deal with some of the iOS issues. And overall, if they can have more people shopping on their platform, then they're going to be doing better. So I think that's probably the reason, is they're really trying to dial these new features that they've been rolling out over the past year or 2 years. And right now, because of the effects of iOS, I feel like they're kind of getting into a crunch where they really want to push it, and they're trying to leverage existing advertisers to do that.
It's interesting. What are the results like when we're running on Facebook ad credits? Is it ever just like, oh wow, this works 10 times better than before, or does it work way worse, somewhere in the middle? How does that look?
I mean, it's always free revenue, so you can't complain. It's great, but we don't tend to see great results from the test campaigns that we run, because they're new features. Like, you can't really expect that a feature that Facebook came out with 2 months ago is going to crush right now. That's not usually the case, just because it needs to get dialed in. They need to figure out who is converting through these new features. So I think that's a big part of it. So we don't tend to see amazing performance. It's usually not terrible, at least when it's conversion objective campaigns. But overall, they definitely tend to perform worse than kind of our evergreen campaigns.
I love it. And it's not just purchases, it's customers that have now entered the ecosystem as well. So there's a real opportunity, especially maybe on these new features, maybe even to have a higher LTV with people building things out on their shop. Very cool. The last part here, we're a little bit over time, but I wanted to I've got two of our head buyers on the platform here. And I just wanted to ask, as media buyers, what on the platform would you change if you had a magic wand? On the Meta Ads platform, would you change if you had a magic wand? Taylor, you want to kick us off?
I can kick it off. So modeled reporting, a huge thing is we've noticed there's still a major discrepancy from what we can see in our own benchmarking and other things that we do. So I think, I'd love to see the platform kind of catch up on the reporting side. We chatted about this on the other All Killer No Filler about what's kind of happening with more players entering the scene there. But it'd be cool to see the platform kind of catch back up and introduce some more opportunity to leverage some of the cool features like automated rules and et cetera, based on sound data there.
I love it. So you'd wave your magic wand and have them fix attribution. I think every advertiser probably on the platform agrees with that. What else is what's the term? What else is bugging you these days, Nate?
I think there's a lot of just like little issues with Facebook that get overlooked in terms of like the functionality side for buyers. Like little things like in custom reports. So right now, since the attribution switch, you used to be able to go into Facebook's dashboard and go into settings, and you could just flip the attribution. So you're looking at 7-day click, 1-day view. Obviously, you used to be able to look at 28-day and stuff like that. And you could switch between click and view and 7 and 1 day and stuff like that right there in the dashboard and see it all. Now the only way, now that like the totals oftentimes don't show up if you're running multiple attribution windows across multiple campaigns, the totals at the bottom won't even show up at all. And so the only way to see the totals in your ad account a lot of times, or to switch between different attribution windows, is to build a custom report. And even in the custom report setting, you can't just do that. You need to have at least 2 ad accounts in a custom report so that you can standardize attribution across the ad accounts. And so it doesn't make any sense that you have to do that. You should be able to go into reports and just switch it. Now you need to add another ad account that's probably not even the same client, and like build a custom report that you can standardize. So that's a super annoying one that I'm confused why they haven't just solved that quite yet. But
I remember that was a hack that we sort of busted out very early on after the change, and we're like, hey, we found this like very quick workaround that we expected to like not be
still
a major factor going forward, and 6 months later, here we are.
Yeah,
they got a lot on their plate, I guess. Over there at Facebook, us advertisers, maybe not their top concern when they're building what they're building. Anything else that grinds your gears, Taylor? That was the term I was looking for. Yes. What grinds your gears about the Facebook platform?
Continuing on reporting, the fact that creative reporting, like there is a creative report you can access from like the left-hand menu. It at one point was super cool. Like it would aggregate data on, a specific creative like asset, but it's definitely, it's kind of gone through ups and downs, like periods of being broken, periods of not being broken. I'd love to see that be a fully functional tool, because it's just super cool to be able to filter on, how is this creative doing in every single audience subset, not just looking at it from the lens of a specific campaign, or having to look at all of them and then look at that total there as well, with maybe varying copy and trying to like adjust your naming conventions to be super detailed and long-winded now. So I think there's some room for that for sure.
Very cool. What else? I know that when you it's funny. I often try to get images. When I can't find one of my Instagram images on my phone, I'll just go to Instagram and be like, oh, I just want to download that image. But they don't let you download it. And I think the same is true of Facebook ads.
Yeah, that's been a problem for a while. That, yeah, if you you upload a bunch of creatives, you're running them in campaigns, you delete them off your laptop, you want to make room, you can't go and download them from Facebook properly. And it's super annoying. Simple little tool, stuff like that.
And then finally, what was the last one we mentioned here? That we can't test Reels on their own. This is something, we come from right now on the D2C side of things, where most of our budget is actually on TikTok, and that TikTok platform is just slaying. We would love an easy way just to go over and isolate and test Reels specifically, but you still can't do that.
Yeah, there have been limitations around like having to include the feed placement, which to me is really interesting, as knowing that Facebook's potential biggest competition with TikTok and potentially trying to be competitive with them is Reels. So that's likely, I'm guessing, a short-term thing, but it's definitely like there's already demand to start at least exploring that and seeing what we can do to optimize there and lean into that more specifically, like we've done with the stories placement in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the big problem there is just that because you have to run feed and Reels, Facebook automatically just assigns most of your budget, or optimizes most of your budget towards feed, because it is currently their best performing placement, and so you kind of just lose a lot of your test. So,
hope you're listening, Facebook. I know you are. If you have any questions, if you're out there listening and you have anything that grinds your gears about Facebook ads, just send me a note at eric@directtoconsumer.co. And I'll make sure that it gets right through to our Facebook pipeline. I'm sure they're working hard on all this stuff. Thanks for coming on today, guys. If you're listening, also make sure that you have your offers ready, whether it's for Mother's Day or the offers that you're testing before then. And yeah, take a look at any campaigns that were running that were created on that April 3rd to 4th period and see if their CPMs are high. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next week, and we've got some big stuff coming up. We don't normally do announcements on this platform, but we've got an event coming up here on the West Coast. We're about to drop some information in an upcoming newsletter about our very first live event that we're doing in Vancouver. We'll tease it here on the podcast. So I hope to meet people in person, and hopefully you and Taylor can come, Nate, because you guys are always fun to party with.
For sure. Yeah, stoked for that.
That'd be amazing.
Nice. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer, all one word, .co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.